Hello, and welcome to What's Your Story. We're so glad to have you join us today. You're going to really enjoy this guest. She is a spiritual artist and an intuitive astrologer with a background in science. She blends art, astrology, and spirituality to coach individuals in aligning their emotions and businesses with their true nature. Through her work, Kubra creates a sacred space for emotional healing, helping clients achieve success effortlessly. Kubra explores thriving without the hustle. And I'm more interested to find out about that. And I know you would be too. So let's just go ahead and welcome her and get her out here so we can ask her questions. Welcome, Kubra.
Hi, Judy. It's a pleasure to be here today.
Thank you. And you're all the way in Brussels, as I understand. I love
Yep.
Brussels. I've been there a few times and I absolutely love it. But that was before I knew about you, or otherwise I would have been calling you up.
Yeah, next time.
So I understand that before you got into being a spiritual artist and an intuitive astrologer, um, you were a scientist that began your career in cancer research.
Yeah.
And you also had a problem about the age of 19. You had a temporary paralysis. So tell us about all of that. And then I want to know what an intuitive astrologer really does.
Okay. First of all, it's a pleasure to be here today and share my story with you. And at age 19, I thought I had a stroke as the rest of my grandma's family had. So I have genetic tendency to have it. And in a morning, I woke up and I wasn't even able to move my finger as
Wow.
I as a very young person, I started screaming and tried to understand. And when my parents took me to hospital, it wasn't a stroke. I wasn't paralyzed. Actually, it was a temporary paralyzing because of fibromyalgia. So it was like a fibromyalgia episode kind of thing. And then I was diagnosed and I started receiving treatments around that.
I see. Okay. So now you're a spiritual artist. Now you're not a trained artist. You taught yourself. Is that correct?
Yeah,
And
I'm a
you're, sorry.
yes, I'm a self-taught artist, as you say.
Yeah. And you're also an intuitive astrologer. So I want to know about both of those. I want to know about your art. I want to know what kind of art you do. And I want to know about astrology. So just tell me everything.
Yeah, pleasure. My artistic journey started when I was able to hold a pen, and my first teacher was my mother. And then at high school, I decided to go to an art school for high school. And something happened one day. I woke up in the morning. Even though I signed up for the art school and everything, I said, okay, let's not do that this time. I will see if I really want it at university, because as an artist it's really hard to find your path and turn it into business. And back then in 90s or 20 in the beginning of 2000s, it was even harder. So I made a decision and I started studying a regular high school. And then I was so passionate about chemistry and I said, okay, I'm gonna study chemistry when I was at the second grade. um, well Long story short, I keep practicing art because it's a way for myself to calm my emotions down. You should have seen me before and after a painting session. I start with so many emotions rushing into my heart and bursting it out. And then after one session of painting, I feel super relaxed and calm. I will share why is it happening that way, because as you say, I call myself spiritual artist and I channel art. So literally I channel art. well in science and in spiritual life we can talk about timelines, and this is what I'm talking with my art as well. So I channel information from different timelines, and you do it as well. Do you know, Judy? You also channel emotions from different timelines. Everyone does. If you do it on purpose, if you do it consciously, it means that you are a psychic or a channel, like a spiritual artist like myself, or however you express it. And if you don't do it in purpose and do it unconsciously, you create emotional patterns. So, um, well, my path turned into art this way. And what I do is channeling those emotions purposely so that people can tune into those paintings with the ritual that I lead them to and release their own emotions without their memories interfering the process. Because from the scientific perspective, we know that everything we experience and everything we talk about create neural pathways, and it is really hard to engrave, like to take out this engraved in memories, really hard when you compare to just taking out the emotion. So to like have an easier work, I do it with the artwork that I channel, and it works perfectly so far that I can tell. And in Tutu, I don't know if you have any questions before I jump into the
No,
art.
you're doing great. I'm loving listening to you.
Okay, thank you. And with the astrology part, this is a little bit tricky for me. It was really hard to accept that astrology really works when I was younger. And then one day I received an astrology session from an astrologer, and she was there telling me, without knowing any single thing about me, my deepest secrets and my deepest tendencies, my talents and everything. So I was kind of shocked, because until then it was something that I see in the magazines. Your sign is that, and this week will be like this. And I was thinking, oh, so come on, this is superstition. And then after that session, it turned into something else. And even my today's career path, defined by my birth chart, to be honest. And I'm glad I did that way, because it's important to do something that aligns with our nature. And why I call it intuitive astrology, I was trained in several different type of astrology, like karma astrology, modern Western, and many other type of it, energy astrology, spiritual astrology, just name it. And then I understood that I don't even use those informations at the mind level. I do actually channel it, and then I use astrology to confirm the information I channeled. And this is why I call myself intuitive astrologer, because combining those two techniques, channeling
Yes,
and astrology.
yes, yes. How did you know? I mean, when did your story start, and how did you know that you had the ability to channel these things?
Well, that's a great question. I didn't know it, to be honest. And for so long, I did those paintings without even noticing that I was following a certain ritual before each painting that I channel. Because art, from my perspective, art is something that really heals and has a spiritual background, even though you don't consider it yourself as a spiritual person, as an artist. It has a healing and spiritual perspective. But from my side, in 2022, I met someone who asked for a birth chart from me, for birth chart reading from me, and it turned into we were soulmates. By the way, I'm happily married since 10 years, so I was kind of shocked to find someone like that. It was kind of tricky. Why did I met this person right now? Because I'm happy and content and everything is going very well. Then I understood why I met him, because he was there for me to unlock that part, and I was there for him to unlock a part of his life. Um, well, with our studies, he's also a spiritual person and has amazing gifts. And we helped each other out to see what is going on. And while we were practicing spiritual techniques, let's say, it turned into like I was receiving actually the visions. And I then understood that I was turning my visions into my paintings.
That's
Like,
amazing. That really is wonderful. I teach art, and I sometimes think I have students that channel their art in class, because we'll be doing an assignment and they'll be doing something totally different, and yet it comes out absolutely amazing. So it's really, art is really an interesting subject for me, because to everyone art is different, and to everyone they love different kinds of art. It's fascinating to me. So that's why I was so interested in you being a spiritual artist, because I have one fellow in one of my classes that all he does is paint black crosses and brown crosses with red blood coming off of them. They're very unique, but they're very dark. And I asked him about it, and he just said, "Well, I'm a very dark person, so we let it go." Right, right. So how did you start doing a job that you were once against?
Oh, good story. Like a good question though. Well, as I mentioned, I received that astrology reading and I booked the session. I was going to pay a lot of money to it. And I was like, what I'm going to receive? Why am I paying that? Because my best friend told me that, oh, that was so cool. I don't know what it happened, how she did that. But, um, this kind of things. Then I said, okay, let's try it for yourself, because a scientist should be curious and
Yes.
have courage to try it for herself when there is no way to prove or disprove something. So I tried it for myself. And for the astrology part, that was the story, the rest from the earlier time I shared it. But my spiritual journey started actually when I was a kid. Actually, I was at high school preparation class. I thought that my parents told me what they believe in is the last edition of the book, and that's the best one, and so on. But uh, all across the world, each parent is telling their children the same story. So I wanted to see it for myself, and I started searching for religions and philosophies. And I think this is a clear of my story. And then at high school, I met with several techniques through someone I trusted, my aunt, and I received some NLP sessions. Still, I was against it, and I just didn't say anything. She just applied. And then when I was at university, after that first paralyzation, I had two more of them. And when the classical medicine techniques didn't help, I had to try something for myself. And I was surrounded by Reiki masters. So those friends gave me a session. Oh my goodness. For a month, actually, in the last that time in the last decade, for the first time in my life, I had a month of pain-free life. So it was mind blowing, and of course I wanted to receive more and more. And then I wanted to learn, and the more I practiced, the more I searched to disprove it, to prove myself that it is a placebo thing. And it turned into I couldn't prove it so far. Yeah, so this is how I started the spiritual part, and I met astrology and everything since 2008. I've been trying many different techniques, and I still couldn't disprove any of them.
Yes. I find it interesting that so many of us, when we have pain and we just can't get rid of it for the through the traditional methods, that we reach out and we try to find anything that will help, anything and everything that will help. But we find amazing things, and that's what's so good. When I had cancer a few years ago, and I know you did a lot of research on cancer, but when I had cancer and I decided not to do the radiation and chemo, but to go to a naturopathic doctor and change my diet, change my rest, change my lifestyle, and became an artist, because the doctor told me to go study art, and I thought he was crazy, but I did, and it totally changed my life, and it was that I could make those changes. Do you find that with people that you counsel, that sometimes they're resistant because they've been brought up to believe in this traditional medicine, and now you're saying try something else? Do they are they resistant to that, or do they embrace it? Or what happens with these people?
Well, with cancer patients, actually, I have many cancer patients for energy treatment, and I always warn the like family, it is not for treatment. So every situation should be considered like specifically for that person. So I cannot generalize things, but what I can share from my perspective and from my expertise, I receive those people and they have chemo sessions, they are not able to eat or sleep. After receiving energy treatment, they start eating and they start sleeping, so it really helps. And this is where I think science and spirituality collaborates, and I love it that way because in your situation, and I'm so proud of you. You are a survivor, obviously, and congratulations. But
Thank
as you say, there is one important thing about cancer patients. They have resistance to let things go and forgive. So this is what I mostly focus on those people when they want to work with me. What is it you are not allowing yourself to let go, or what is it you are not allowing yourself to, just forgive? Because when you hold on to something and like kind of surround it with anger, it kind of sucks your energy. And now I know many like science people who are measuring the energies, the frequencies of the organs. So the traditional medicine is giving you the energy directly to your body, for example, when you receive a Reiki or Cosmo energy treatment
you.
or session. But when you do it with homeopathy or regular pharmaceutical things, you kind of again do the same thing by using matter actually. So I don't want to say that you should choose one over the other. I think every situation should be considered particularly for that person. And but I can definitely say there is a resistance in changing things for those people, for letting go of things. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You say in your bio that you guide individuals towards self-actualization by setting healthy boundaries, navigating their emotions and setting healthy boundaries. How do we do that? How do we set healthy boundaries? Most of us don't set boundaries at all. We haven't ever learned how to do that.
Yeah, isn't it odd that we learn everything in school, but we don't learn about how to manage our emotions, as they are the most frequently faced things in our lives. So, why or how I do it simply with my technique, I share a very simple message. If you have a disconnection from your self worth, you protect yourself with masks of emotions. So if it's anger, as you talked about the boundaries, this is my example. Anger is about boundaries. So if you wear that mask, it means that you are not able to protect your boundaries, and you just push people away by using it, because you cannot do it other way, because your mother told you you should be a good girl. You shouldn't express your anger, your fear, or the other emotion. But we should be learning to express our emotions in a healthy way. So, first, this is what I help people out, expressing their emotions, because in many of the spiritual events or people, you will hear that you should create space for your emotions. But most of the time I receive question, okay, Kubra, but how can I create space for an emotion? It's already there, it's showing up. So this is where I share the rest. You should be brave enough to take out that emotion instead of getting angry at a person or yourself or this or that, you should be mindful about which emotion you are experiencing. And this has a, we have amygdala, and your amygdala is getting shiny, and we don't want it to be shiny, getting shiny when you're under stress and you think, you consider a situation as survival, like you need to send this report tonight, you should cook, you should get children from school, this and that. These kind of, I call them placebo lions, actually, because our amygdala gives the same reaction when our ancestors were chased by a lion in the woods. So we consider a report as a lion, let's say. So when you just define what you feel in that very moment, so just ask yourself how you feel right now and define it, and then you will see your amygdala is calming down, so your body chemistry accompanying that. So without tricking your body chemistry, you cannot feel good. You need to learn how to do that.
Wow, it sounds like that's going to take some work to figure out how to do that.
Yeah, definitely. And to be able to set the healthy boundaries, you need to understand how to navigate your anger, because the anger is specifically about boundaries. When you feel under, like when you feel threatened by someone attacking into your boundary, you will get angry. It could be some stranger on the street, or your boss, or your husband, or your cat. It doesn't matter. And it is a time of, it's a work of repetition and time, actually.
I just had that happen to me on Saturday. I was very angry with someone because she invaded my space. I was teaching an art class, and she brought a couple of people into the room without my permission and just started talking to my students and reaching over them to hang things on the wall. And all of a sudden, my temper just went. And I had to remember my assertiveness techniques that I teach, and I had to calm myself down and then tell her that I really needed her to let this, whatever she was doing, to let it wait for a while until we were finished with our class. And thank you for leaving us right now. And she left, and then later she came and attacked me, and said, "You don't own that room. I don't know why you think." And I was like, "Okay, Judy, okay, behave, don't lose your temper, and don't hit her, just just reach out and be kind." And from my training, I've learned that one of the things is to always say to the other person, "I can certainly appreciate what you're doing, and what you're doing here, and how hard it must be, and therefore, we're having a difficulty here, but let's see if we can't get through this." And it worked, it really worked. But when you say setting healthy boundaries, woo, it took me a lot of years to learn how to do that. But I like that you're teaching people this, because it's so important. Like you say, in school, we never really learn to control our emotions or to set those boundaries, and we have to go outside to another training arena to learn it. And I really appreciate that about you. I understand that you're going to be one of the featured speakers at Women Thrive in March. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
And what will you be speaking on there?
Well, I haven't decided fully to the title, but I will be talking about the unison, how to channel emotions, and how to manage it, because it creates the emotional patterns when you channel emotions and you do it unconsciously. And yeah, simply I will be talking and sharing about that.
And as we get closer to that time, I will be encouraging people to go on and listen, because I know that what you're talking about is something that we all need. So I really, really appreciate that. Is there a milestone that changed your life personally or professionally that you would like to share with us?
Well, I can tell astrology is one of those milestones, because when I was continuing to my previous profession, learning astrology was there telling me, like, okay, Kubra, this is one of the reason why your body is reacting to yours in your life. Because my body, as it happened when I was at university at 19, what my body was giving me all the reactions, all the warnings, like whoo, all the time. And I only was able to understand what it was telling to me by using astrology. So we are like a country. So if our borders are secure, we can create this self-actualization journey. And to be able to do that, we need a navigation, because we have lots of emotions coming and going, up and downs and everything. It is really hard to manage it and receive like touch and reconnect with that gifts we have been carrying for so long, and to be able to share those gifts for self-actualization, or in my story, to be able to choose the right path for ourselves. It's really important to see that user manual. I call astrology as birth chart as a user manual. So this was one of my milestones to learn my birth chart.
You are so interesting. I love talking with you. We are out of time, so I'm going to have to say goodbye. Would you like to tell our audience how they can reach you if they would like to contact you?
Yeah. Um, if they type my name to anywhere, it's only me that they will find with this name and surname, Kubra Ozguvenc. But I'm mostly available on Instagram and my website.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much for being with us today. I've really enjoyed my time with you, and I hope you'll come back and be with us again sometime before March when you're doing that big speech.
With pleasure.
Okay, thank you. Bye bye. And thank you for joining us today. It's been a pleasure to be with you once again, and we hope you'll continue to come back and meet our other fascinating guests from around the world.